This Wednesday, August 30th, MLB Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is offering you a chance to win $15 million in prizes with Best Ball Mania 4. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. And we're also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook using promo code SGP. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, August the 29th, here to get into our Wednesday MLB Betting Picks for August 30th. And joining me here to help me break it all down, you guys know him as the voice of the NBA Gambling Podcast, WNBA Tennis, NFL, and of course here on MLB Gambling Podcast, it's Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, how's it going, my man?
They're doing pretty well. No baseball today, so I've been watching tennis. So how's it going with you?
Oh, that'll definitely get you through the day. We'll get all of us through the day that actually maybe bet on tennis and actually are watching a Grand Slam here. But yeah, it's been an uneventful day for MLB, obviously, with no day games like you mentioned. But hey, we got some tennis to get us through the week at least, with games kicking off very early. So yeah, it makes the day go by faster for sure. Also joining us, you guys know him as the voice on the NBA Gambling Podcast. It's Lonte Smith. Lonte, how's it going, my man?
Not bad, man. Good to be breaking down the card with you guys. It's like my third time breaking these teams down. So trying to get a good read on them and pick out some winners.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, we have about 30 some odd games left for each team. I mean, we're getting down to the wire here. Still a lot to be determined here. So some meaningful baseball definitely left for a lot of these teams here. And again, Wednesday and Thursday usually means we get day baseball, and that starts tomorrow. Let's get right into it with our first game on the board. It's going to be a 1:05 Eastern start. The Los Angeles Angels, they are taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. I see Reed Detmers is getting the start here for the LA Angels, and Christopher Sanchez, a battle of left-handed pitchers here for these two squads. Currently, I am seeing the Phillies are a -155 home favorite, +130 on the money line for the Angels. Total set at 9.5 with a big towards the under. Run line -1.5, +136 for the Phillies here, and +1.5, -162 for the LA Angels here. Like I mentioned, two left-handed pitchers here with Reed Detmers has been struggling. He's haven't had his moments. I think the one highlight we've always been talking about with him has been the no-hitter that he threw a few seasons ago. But Lonte, take us over to the Phillies and Angels, man. What do we got?
Yeah, so I'm going to go a lot on the Phillies here. I like them, to win the game. I like them on the run line. I think that price is kind of cheap for Detmers. I mean, on the road versus this Philly offense who's been hitting the ball pretty well, and I think historically they hit lefties pretty well, and they have been this season. I think they're pretty much going to mash him. I mean, Sanchez has been pretty good. He's in his last 3 starts, he hasn't allowed over 2 earned runs in those 3 starts. And if you expand it a little bit more, it's been since June 17th. So that's 12 appearances between that time. He's only allowed over 3 earned runs once. This Angels offense not really scaring me outside of Shohei, who's battling an injury. So I think this is going to be all gas for Philadelphia. I would look for them the team total to go over. First 5, full game. I saw this opened up offshore a little bit shorter than this, and that immediately got hit. I saw like 127, 130. I thought that was way too low. I still think right now at this current price is still too low. Probably close around 170, 175. So I like the Phillies big here.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm on the same page here. I think that Philly's going to bury Detmers. Detmers had one good start recently against the Rangers, and then he immediately responded by giving up 4 earned against the Reds. But he's allowed at least 4 earned in 3 of his last 4 starts. The Phillies have been doing very well against left-handed pitching this season. They're top 10 in OPS against lefties. And they've also seen a lot of lefties recently, so they might be able to pick up the pitches even better than normal. But you're looking at the Phillies at home. They buried Giolito yesterday, who's not very good. I see a pretty similar script here because this pitcher is not good either. Give me the Phillies to bury him. The Angels have nothing to play for. I think the Phillies roll.
Yeah, 2 teams that are going in opposite directions here. I'm on the Phillies here as well. Like Scott mentioned, that the Phillies are doing really well against left-handed pitching. I think that's going to continue here against Reed Detmers on Wednesday afternoon in Philadelphia. Let's get over to the next game on the board here, gentlemen. Another 105 Eastern start. We have the Chicago White Sox. They are in Baltimore to take on the Orioles. Dylan Cease is going to start here for the Chicago White Sox, and Kyle Gibson is going to start here for the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles are a minus 162 home favorite, plus 136 on the money line for the Chicago White Sox. Total set at 9. A little bit of juice towards the under at minus 112. Run line minus 1.5, plus 124 for the Baltimore Orioles. And plus 1.5, minus 148 for the Chicago White Sox. Lonte, what do we got for this game?
Yeah, so I think Cease probably could have benefited similar to what Lance Lynn did because he hasn't been good lately. So he probably should have switched teams. I know the White Sox, I don't know what they were doing at the deadline. Probably should have moved him because his value is going to be, diminished going into next year. But I mean, he's had some issues lately, like especially with his control. He has a total of 19 walks in his last 4 starts. He's allowed 5+ runs in 3 of his last 5 starts, and that includes going against Oakland and Colorado, or pretty much the 2 of the bottom 3 teams in the MLB. In that span between those 2 teams, he's allowed 13 earned runs. I mean, Baltimore is really good at home. Obviously, their bats are doing really good. I don't think they should have a problem scoring 6+ here. So I like their team total to go over. I don't want to lay 160, so I'll take a half unit and put it on that run line at a nice plus price. I think they can win by 3 or 4 runs here. So Baltimore team total to go over, and I like them on the run line here against Cease.
Scott, what do we got?
Yeah, I think Baltimore is going to win pretty comfortably here. I've mentioned several times on the show, I think Cease is a very overrated pitcher who had one very good year, who's pretty mediocre. But you're looking at the Orioles, of course. They are one of the best teams in the league record-wise, and they've yet to wrap up the division, so these games still matter for them. The White Sox, all they have left to play for is pride, but they don't have any because they keep getting blown out. They fired the entire front office, and it seems like the players don't really care. I can't back a team that just actively does not care about winning. And it seems like, once again, the White Sox are waiting for the season to end while the Orioles are still trying to improve their playoff positioning. So I'm on Baltimore. I don't mind the run line here. We saw in the series opener on Monday, it was not pretty. The White Sox got buried 9-0. They showed no life throughout. I can't back a team that, once again, is not going to try. Like, for the opposite spectrum, you have the Nationals, who are not competing for anything, but at least they're playing hard. At least they're finding ways to win games. The White Sox seem like they don't even care, so I'm not going to back them. Give me the Orioles on the run line as well. I think they win comfortably.
Yeah, I think this bullpen has been terrible as well for the Chicago White Sox this season. So Lonte hit the nail on the head about the issues with the location and command that Dylan Cease is having. I mean, 19 walks over his last 5 starts. I mean, that's pretty incredible. And 7 of those came against the New York Yankees, who only mustered 1 whole hit and didn't get any earned runs off of Dylan Cease in that span. But I mean, the Oakland A's tagged him for 8 earned runs in his last start. He allowed 5 walks in that game as well. So I agree with both you guys. Baltimore here on the run line. I'll take a look at Baltimore's team total to go over in this game here as well. All right, guys, before we get over to the next game on the Wednesday schedule, let me tell everyone about DraftKings. College football fans, are you ready for week 1? football week 1, college football is kicking off on Thursday, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't miss offer to start the season strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. Your team could go from unranked to dynasty mode in just a couple of years. Change comes fast, but the only thing that's a lock is a great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook now and use promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.com/football terms. All right, gentlemen, let's get over to the next game on the board here. Another afternoon start here for us on the MLB schedule. It's going to be a 1:10 Eastern start. The Cleveland Guardians, they are in a battle with the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota. I'm currently seeing Tanner Bybee is going to start here for the Guardians, and I'm currently seeing Sonny Gray is going to get the start for the Minnesota Twins. Lines are minus 155 in favor of the home team, the Minnesota Twins here, plus 130 on the money line for the Cleveland Guardians. Total set at 8 with juice towards the under at minus 118. Run line minus 1.5 plus 142 for the Twins, and plus 1.5 minus 170 for the Cleveland Guardians. Start here with Tanner Bybee, who's been really solid this season for the Cleveland Guardians. He's 10-3 on the season with a 3.01 ERA. He's been really good over his last 5 starts as well. 3-1 with a 2.70 ERA. He's only allowed 9 earned runs in 30 innings pitched in his last 5 games. On the road this season, 5-1 is his record with 3.94 ERA. He does give up a couple runs when he does make his starts. In 3 straight starts, he's allowed at least 2 earned runs, but he's been very respectable for this Guardians team. The Guardians have won 3 of his last 4 starts. Did face Minnesota earlier this season, where he did go 5 innings and allowed 3 earned runs in that game to the Minnesota Twins. On the other side, we have Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray on the season got off to a great start. On the season, he's 7-6 with 3.06 ERA. He's been really solid over his last 5 games, at least pitching-wise, but the Twins just haven't been able to give him that run support over his last 5 games. They've been alternating between win-loss over his last 5 games. Coming off a really solid starting against the Texas Rangers, one of the better offenses in this league. I know they've been mustering here a little bit over the past couple of weeks, but 7 innings did Sonny Gray go in that game. 1 earned run he allowed, 4 strikeouts in that game. I'm leaning towards the under in this game here, at least in the first 5 innings. I don't trust that Minnesota bullpen. I don't know how many times I've seen this season where their starter just absolutely comes out and pitches so well for their team, the Twins, and then just the bullpen comes in and just gives up 3-4 runs within that next inning when that starter is pulled. So, like I mentioned, I mean, these are the 2 top teams in the AL Central. Maybe not much of a battle for the division here, but I think these 2 pitchers can go along well here. I like the first 5 under in this game. If I had to make a pick on the side here, I lean here with the Cleveland Guardians. I like what I've seen from Tanner Bybee over the last 5 starts and over the season. We've talked about him a lot on the pod, and I like what I've seen from him over the course of the season. So full game Guardians on the money line, but I really do like the first 5 under between these 2 pitchers here, Lonte.
Yeah, I lean to Cleveland also. I think both pitchers are pretty much a coin flip as to who's better. So I think that, like you mentioned, the separation isn't far apart from both teams. I think Cleveland has some value as an underdog here, with me valuing each pitcher about the same. I do like the over. I can see where you're going with the first 5 under, but I think outside of that, outside of both pitchers, when they go to the respective bullpens, I think we might see fireworks here. I mean, both offenses have been playing really well. Cleveland's over in 6 of their last 10. They're also hitting like right almost at 270 in their last 10 games. So they're hitting the ball pretty well. Minnesota's also over in 8 of their last 10. They've scored 7+ runs in 4 of their last 5 games, double digits twice in that span. Cleveland 5+ runs in 3 of the last 4. So I think we can see some fireworks here early later on. I'm rooting for your under, Munaf, but I'll be rooting for the over once we get a 2-3 type of game here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I've bet an under in a Twins game just because I think their offense is just so bad. Yep. And just for their bullpen to come in and just absolutely just mess it up. So I that's why I just trimmed it down within those first 5 innings. Scott, what do you like for this game?
Yeah, I agree with the first 5 under. I think Bybee's a guy that I definitely want to be buying on. As for Gray, I've not been the biggest fan for the last couple of months, but he was good last time out. In fact, he was really good against Texas as he ended up going, I believe it was 7 innings, and he only gave up 1 run. So he was in good form there. He has actually been pretty good in 4 of his last 5 starts. He's allowed less than 3 earned in 4 of his last 5. So I do think, once again, Gray's in pretty good form. I see a low-scoring start to the game. Maybe the bullpens blow it, so I'm not going to bother. I'm with you. I'm on the first 5 under.
All right, let's get over to the next game on the board. It's going to be a 2:15 Eastern start. San Diego Padres, they are in St. Louis to take on the Cardinals. Rich Hill gets to start here for the Padres, and Miles Mikolas gets to start here for the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals are a slight home favorite of -115. -105 on the money line for the San Diego Padres. Total set at 9.5 with juice towards the under at -122. Run line -1.5 +160 for the St. Louis Cardinals and +1.5 -192 for the San Diego Padres here. Scott, what are you thinking about this game between the Padres and the Cardinals?
I hate this entire series. I know it was supposed to. I think it was supposed to be Darvish who was going to start, but now he's injured, so they had to bring in Hill to start instead. I think I'm just going to lean to the over in this one. I really don't have a strong opinion on the side because I really don't trust either pitcher, which makes this tricky. But I don't like Rich Hill. That acquisition has not exactly worked out for San Diego. Then again, I don't know why they acquired anybody at the trade deadline because they should have been selling off half the team. Mikolas, I've roasted on the show. Pitches to contact, not good in general. Both bullpens are not good either. I'm going to lean to the over. They find a way to score runs.
Yeah, I like the first 5 over in this game between these 2 pitchers. I mean, if we're going to go full game, I'm not going to be mad about that either. But Miles Mikolas, the Cardinals have lost 4 of his last 5 starts for the Padres. He came out of the bullpen in his last game against the Brewers, did Rich Hill. But prior to that, he made 3 starts. 2 came against the Arizona Diamondbacks, lost both of those games. And then against the Dodgers, he got torched by the bats. 6 earned runs he allowed in 3 innings pitched, did Rich Hill to the Dodgers. You take a look at Miles Mikolas, his last 2 starts, he's allowed 12 earned runs and 10 2/3 innings pitched to the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. So, yeah, I think we see a runs in this game. Just fade both pitchers. First 5 over, full game over, whichever way you want to dice it up. But, yeah, I agree with Scott. Definitely see runs in this game here, Lonte.
Yeah, I don't got much. I like the over. I mean, both of these teams are miserable. Although I did bet St. Louis today, so I think they'll win today. But yeah, I can't put money on Mikolas. I can't put money on the Padres. I don't trust either organization, so I'll just root for high scoring attack. So I'm with you guys on the over.
All right, let's get over to the next game on the schedule. We have a 2:20 Eastern start between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. Brandon Woodruff gets a start here for the Milwaukee Brewers, and Kyle Hendricks gets a start here for the Chicago Cubbies. No totals yet, obviously, because we are waiting for the wind direction in Wrigley Field, but we do have money lines. Milwaukee is a -105 road underdog here and -115 slight home favorites here for the Chicago Cubs. Big series for both of these teams, right? I think the Cubs are still in the battle for a wild card position, and the Brewers trying to maintain the division in the NL Central here. But Lonte, what do you got for this game?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep riding the hot hand. I like Milwaukee here. I've been really impressed with what they've been doing offensively. I mean, the defense and the pitching has always been there. I think some guys are ascending and coming on well. Woodruff being one of those guys. I mean, since his return, he's only allowed over 2 earned runs once in his last 4 starts. So he's been going well. One thing I'm worried about is his home runs. He's allowed 6 in his last 4 starts, since his return, multi-home runs in 2 of those games. So he's got to kind of limit the hard contact. But outside of that, I mean, I just like what Milwaukee's doing. I took some 30 to 1 for them to win the World Series, long shot. But if they can get at the top of that rotation, Burns, if Woodruff can keep going how he's going, Peralta has been pitching well. man, if they could get those going with this offense, I think they're dangerous. I'm not really a fan of Hendricks. Hendricks is going, right? They didn't switch him, right?
Yeah, Hendricks, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fine, but I mean, I'd much rather have the hotter team here in Milwaukee. I think they sweep Chicago in this series, so I like Milwaukee on the run line, like I'm on the money line also.
Yeah, Hendricks on the season has been okay. I mean, the win-loss record isn't there for him, but last 5 games, 1-2 with a 5.00 ERA. The Cubs have lost 4 of his last 5 starts. 3 of those 4 losses have come by 2 or more runs. And then for Brandon Woodruff, since he has returned from the injury for the Brewers, he's been all right. I mean, 3-1 with a 2.65 ERA, 41 strikeouts and 9 walks. Last 5 games has been impressive. 3-1 with a 2.89 ERA. Did face the Cubs earlier this season. 6 innings he went in that game. Only allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits, 8 strikeouts in that game. And the Brewers have won 4 of his last 5 starts, including 3 straight starts. Did have a rough outing against the Texas Rangers. I mean, but sometimes who isn't? But the Brewers were able to win that game with their offense 9-8. So I'll lean with the hot team here as well. The Brewers. I think when the lines do come out, I may look at a team total under for the Cubs. I feel like Brandon Woodruff has had a lot of success in his career against the Chicago Cubs here. Let me see if I can pull that up. Well, Scott, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I was looking at the Cubs team total under. The total is going to come out very low because there's a lot of wind blowing in at Wrigley. According to Ballpark Pal, 24% decrease in home runs and a 16% decrease in runs. Woodruff I also really like. He's one of my favorite pitchers in the league. The problem is he's never healthy. But you're looking at what should be around a double-digit amount of wind in terms of miles per hour blowing in. So Woodruff has had a bit of a home run issue, but once again, the wind should take care of that. But I think, once again, Woodruff's a very solid pitcher. Hendricks is okay, but if you're asking me which pitcher is more likely to give up runs through a bunch of singles and doubles and non-home runs, the answer is Hendricks, because Hendricks just gives up a lot of contact anyway. Milwaukee's won a bunch of games in a row. I like Woodruff a lot. I'm on the Brewers as well, but I would look for the Cubs team total under. Maybe first 5 team total under, but the point is I see a pretty low-scoring game. Brewers win 4-2, something like that.
Yeah, Woodruff last 3 starts against the Chicago Cubs. He's gone close to 18 innings, officially 17 2/3 innings pitched. He's allowed, let's see here, a total of 11 hits, 3 earned runs over those last 3 starts. But all those runs, like Scott mentioned, the home run ball has been an issue for Brandon Woodruff. All 3 of those runs that he gave up to the Cubs in those last 3 starts were all home runs, all solo home runs. So if the wind is blowing in, like Scott mentioned, again, double check the I was going to say injury report, but check the weather report. That wind is going to be blowing in. This might be a good start here for Brandon Woodruff to get the job done here. All right, guys, before we continue the conversation here, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. August is almost over, and you know what that means? You're running out of time to draft your fantasy football teams for your home draft or whatever that case might be. But get championship ready for your home league by trying out Best Ball on Underdog Fantasy. All you have to do is do one live snake draft. No waivers, no trades. Set it, forget it, and Underdog does the rest. Try it out with Underdog's Best Ball Mania tournament, the largest fantasy football contest of all time, with an absurd amount of $15 million up for prizes. And what's even more absurd, $3 million is going to go to the winner of that Best Ball Mania tournament. So do you have what it takes to win it all? The time is now. The last day to draft your fantasy football team is September 7th. Visit underdogfantasy.com and find them in the App Store and sign up with promo code SGPN to get your first deposit doubled of up to $100. Again, that's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And we're also brought to you by the SGP Patreon. Make sure that you check out our Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon to get access to exclusive contests, including the NFL Win Totals contest with a $1,000 first place prize. This week's Patreon Pick'em contest is all week 1 for college football. The Patreon is a great way to support the network and fight back against corporate gambling. So again, get all the details over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. All right, boys, let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. It is going to be a 3:07 Eastern start between the Washington Nationals and the Toronto Blue Jays. Patrick Corbin, left-handed pitcher, gets a start here for the Washington Nationals, and Chris Bassett is on the mound here for the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays are overwhelming -220 favorite, +180 on the money line for the Washington Nationals. Total set at 8.5 with juice towards the under at -115. Run line -1.5, -105 for the Blue Jays, and +1.5, -115 for the Washington Nationals. It's Patrick Corbin Day. Let's see what we got here, Scott. What are you thinking about this game?
So Corbin has been a fade for at least a lot of us for the last couple of years. However, he's actually been pretty good lately. Last four starts, 23 and a third innings pitched, a 2.7 ERA. They've also won 4 of his last 5 starts, so the Nationals have actually done pretty well when he's pitched. I do think Bassett's the better pitcher, obviously, so it's going to be tough for me to make a full case for an over in this game. I'm leaning to the under because I do think that, once again, Corbin is in decent form. I am pulling up the Toronto numbers against lefties this season. They're pretty good against lefties. They're 10th in OPS. I think for this one, I'm going to lean to the under. I have faith in Bassett to pitch pretty well, and I do think, once again, Corbin has been in pretty decent form lately. So I see a lower scoring game. I'm going to lean to the under. I know it's going to sound dangerous because Corbin, we know, can get shelled, but Toronto's also not the greatest at converting opportunities, and I do think Corbin can get into some trouble, find a way out of it. Toronto wins the game. The problem is 220 is an insane price to fade a very hot team in the Nationals. So I think for this one, I'm probably looking at more of an under because I think that you're going to see a lower scoring game. So that's where I'm leaning. I don't really have a strong opinion on this. I thought about maybe Nationals +1.5, but once again, I really don't have much here. I'm just going to lean to the under.
Lonte?
Yeah, I'm going to keep riding Washington, man. I lost on them. They jumped out to a 1-0 lead, got me excited, and they proceeded to get buried. But, yeah, I'm on them again today. I'll be on them again tomorrow. Corbin, like you mentioned, I mean, I've been fading him for a while, as have you two guys. I mean, he's only allowed over 3 earned runs once in his last 5 starts. He's been pretty good on the road versus solid offenses. Boston, Philly, Cincinnati, I think he pitched well in all of those games. Bassett, I mean, he's okay, but he's prone to giving up a couple of runs too. He's allowed 4 earned runs in 3 of his last 5. That's separately in each of those 3 games. He's allowed exactly 4 earned runs in 3 of the last 5, and he's allowed a home run in 6 straight games. Now, Washington's offense, I mean, they're more than capable of getting hot and going on a run here. So I think we see some runs. I can see Corbin, letting up maybe 3-4 runs on the road. I mean, 3 would be perfect because I think they'll be in line to score a little bit more. Washington will on the backside. So I think I like the over. I like Washington. Might play Corbin first 5 also, just to get a little bit more exposure on Washington, as if I don't have enough.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Chris Bassett has given up a home run in at least 5 straight starts, is what I'm seeing. And like Scott alluded to earlier, that this Nationals team still playing with some pride, unlike the Chicago White Sox or some of these other teams. And then anytime I try to go trust Chris Bassett, he just absolutely blows up. So I'll take the plus money here with the Washington Nationals. Why not? I think that, again, like we mentioned, feisty bunch. Corbin is in pretty good form here. I know Scott mentioned that the Blue Jays have been pretty good season long against left-handed pitching, but at least over the last 2 weeks, they've tailed off to below league average. So I think the Blue Jays, the Nationals can sneak one out here. So I'm on the money line here for the Nationals at +180. All right, next game on the board. Let's go over to the West Coast, 3:45 Eastern start. We have the Cincinnati Reds. They are in San Francisco to take on the Giants. I'm seeing Hunter Green is going to get the start here for the Cincinnati Reds. And Logan Webb is on the mound here for the San Francisco Giants. Giants are a -155 home favorite, +130 on the money line for the Cincinnati Reds. Total is set at 8. Run line -1.5, +130 for the Giants, and +1.5, -155 for the Cincinnati Reds here. Scott, what do we got for this game?
I'm going to go with the Giants. The question is, do I want the full game run line or the first 5 run line? I think I'll take the full game because Webb can go distance and I like their bullpen, but I know I said Cease might be the most overrated pitcher in the league. I think Hunter Green's up there. I don't think he's very good, simply put. I think he's a classic good stuff guy, but he gives up a ton of home runs and a ton of runs. So if giving up runs is the most important part, or I should say preventing runs as being the most important part of a good starter, and he never seems to have clean outings, I don't think he's very good. Like Hunter Green, I understand he can throw 100 miles an hour, strikes out a bunch of guys, gives up a ton of hard contact. I don't think he's very good. So I'm going to fade him. I think Logan Webb is a very solid pitcher, and he's been very good at home this season. So I'm going to go with the Giants here on the run line. I just think that Webb, once again, is going to pitch well. I saw the Reds officially put McLean on the IL, who's been one of their better hitters all season long. So that's going to hurt the lineup. But I'm going to go with the Giants because I really don't think Hunter Green is that good. And I understand, once again, he was a very intriguing prospect, and there's still a long way to go because he's still very young. But stop giving up runs, and I'll think he's decent. So I'm going to go with the Giants.
Yeah, I know Logan Webb is coming off of 2 rough outings, but can we blame him when it was against the Braves in both those last 2 starts where he gave up 9 earned runs and 11 1/3 innings pitched? But he's really solid in San Francisco, pitching for the Giants at home. If you just kind of look at it over the course of his career since, I want to say, the 2020 season, he's been really good, especially on the run line, I believe, for the San Francisco Giants. You mentioned it, Hunter Green. I think that at times he has the stuff, the fastball. He can get up to 102 miles per hour, but he also gives up a lot of walks as well. And again, like Scott mentioned, that he also gives up a lot of home runs there as well. So Giants are still playing for something. I know the Cincinnati Reds are trying to hold on by a thread, but I definitely have the better pitcher on the mound here with Logan Webb. I'll look at the run line full game here for the San Francisco Giants, -1.5, +130 for me here. Lonte, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll make it a team ride. I like San Francisco a lot here. And I'm not really the biggest San Francisco fan, but I think in this spot against Hunter Green, who I'm not a fan of either, Scott, I mean, off the injury, he hasn't been any better than what he was before he came on. 2 games, 15 hits, 13 earned runs. Yeah, he's going to throw it hard, but again, I mean, I'm not really a fan of his stuff either. I mean, he throws hard, but I mean, that's pretty much it as far as, location and throwing guys off with some of his off-speed stuff. He's just a one-trick pony for me, and that's why I'm not really a fan of him. Webb, like you mentioned, got roughed up by Atlanta, but I mean, everybody gets roughed up by Atlanta. So I like the San Francisco team total as well. I think they can get off, and I think they can tee off against Hunter Green. So look for that team total in the first 5 and full game. Also, on the run line, they've covered 6 of the last 10 in San Francisco. So I like the run line, like San Francisco's team total to go over also.
4:10 Eastern start, the Houston Astros, they are in Boston to take on the Red Sox. I'm seeing Framber Valdez is going to get the start here for the Houston Astros, and Cutter Crawford is getting the start here for the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are a +120 home underdog, -142 on the money line for the road team, the Houston Astros. Total is set at 10. Run line -1.5, +114 for the Houston Astros, and +1.5 +1.5, -135 for the Boston Red Sox here. Scott, what do we got for this game?
For me, this line kind of feels a bit right. I wanted to lean to an under based on the pitchers, but I don't know if I can based on how good these offenses have been, particularly against each other. We have seen a lot of runs recently. For this one, I think I'm going to lean to Houston. I see a 141 on Caesars. I'll take that, but we know Valdez was very close to a no-hitter last time out. He's, in general, I think, a better pitcher than Crawford. Crawford's been pretty good recently, but I do think Houston's offense is better at this point in time. We saw Altuve hit for the cycle yesterday. The team is in good form. I'll lean to Houston here, but I think it's competitive. I just think, once again, Houston has the better bullpen, the better lineup, and that's good enough for me. I'll lean to Houston at around -140.
Lonte, what do you got?
Yeah, man, I don't want to bet against either one of these teams, to be honest. I've been on the overall series even like a week ago when they played each other. Boston's played in 11 straight overs. The winning team of the last 5 games that they've had between each other has scored 7 or more runs. Each team has alternated double-digit point outings. I think 17. And what did Houston score yesterday? Went off 13,
I think
14?
it was like
Yeah, I mean
13
they
or
were
14.
up there. They scored a
Yeah,
lot.
so
They were,
it's been
yeah,
back-to-back games
12
where
plus.
each team has scored double digits. So I don't think much changes here. I mean, I respect both pitchers. I really do. And Crawford's been solid at home. I mean, he hasn't allowed over 3 runs in his last 3 home starts, and he's only allowed over 3 earned runs twice in his last 12. So he's been pitching the ball. He's been pitching really well. Framber is going to be Framber. I mean, like Scott mentioned, he had the no-hitter going. I mean, both of these offenses are just too explosive for me to take a side. If I had to take a lean, I'd lean with Boston at home at plus money. But outside of that, I love the over. I don't think they can make it high enough. I think it's going to soar over with how these offenses have been playing.
Yeah, I mean these are two of the hotter teams as far as swinging the bat. I know Seattle has just been absolutely just crushing everything that's been thrown their way over the last couple of weeks here. But Gunnar Crawford has struggled in Fenway Park, 0-3 with a 5.68 ERA. He's been pretty good as of late, at least at Fenway Park. But I mean, I just don't want to bet against either one of these offenses right now. It kind of does give me concern that Framber Valdez is coming off of throwing, I want to say he threw 114 pitches in his last outing, if I'm not mistaken, going for that no-hitter. Did get pulled, obviously. You want to save his arm for the playoffs, just because of the Astros are struggling this season. I know they picked up Verlander, like we talked about, but the Astros actually lost 3 straight starts that Framber has been out there for the Houston Astros. I know the last start was against the Detroit Tigers, where the Tigers put up 4 runs in that bottom of the 9th inning and walked it off to get the victory there against the Astros. But I feel like this might be a game where Framber may struggle a little bit. If you want to go back to the August 1st game against the Guardians, where he did throw that no-hitter, 7 strikeouts in that game. He did allow 1 walk, but that following start, which was against the Baltimore Orioles, in 7 innings, he allowed 6 earned runs in that game. And over his last 5 starts, he's pitched a lot of innings, man. 35 2/3 innings. He's gone at least 7 innings in 4 of his last 5 starts. So I feel like this may be a game where that maybe some arm fatigue does catch up to him. But like Lonte mentioned, I think that we'll see a lot of runs between these two offenses, especially with the way the Astros are swinging the bat right now. So I do like the over 10 in this game. Next game on the board is going to be a 4:10 Eastern start between the Oakland A's and the Seattle Mariners. Zach Neal gets started here for the Oakland A's, and Bryce Miller is on the mound here for the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners are a minus 265 home favorite, plus 215 on the money line for the Oakland A's. Total set at 8.5 with juice towards the under at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5, minus 120 on the Mariners, and plus 1.5 even money for the Oakland A's. I mean, I'm not sure if we need to say a lot here, especially the way that the Seattle Mariners are swinging the bat right now. But Bryce Miller on the season, 8-4 with a 3.90 ERA. He's made 2 starts this season against the Oakland A's. 12 innings pitched in those 2 runs, 1 earned run, 4 hits allowed in those 2 starts, and 16 strikeouts in that span against the Oakland A's. He's in 5-2 with a 3.53 ERA. The Mariners have won 3 out of his last 4 starts. A's trying to pull up his numbers here. So he is 1-0, does have a 6.88 ERA. His last start was his first start of the season, I believe, which came against the Chicago White Sox. He went 5 innings in that game, allowed 2 earned runs. Does give up the long ball. He allowed 2 home runs to the Chicago White Sox in that game, but the Oakland A's offense carried them to victory 12-4. I don't think we could get in front of the Mariners train right now, guys. I mean, the way they're stringing the bat here right now, Bryce Miller has been dominant against the Oakland A's in his 2 starts. I think this one is pretty simple for me. Mariners minus 1.5, minus 120 on the run line here, Scott.
Yeah, I'm not going to add anything else. Seattle's a freight train. Oakland's a double-A team. I think Seattle knows how important each game is because they've been playing like it for a month, and they're also in a 3-horse race for the division title. I'm taking Seattle. I think they win this game comfortably.
I think you guys pretty much broke it down. Seattle team total over. I want to get it under that 1.5. I want to get it under that 120, but maybe some alternate minus 2.5. You could probably get plus money on that if my eyes are calculated correctly.
But 120 isn't even that bad. You're saving over $1.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, they are the home team, so I guess that's the argument. But you're saving over $1 fading the worst team in the league with the hottest team in the league. I think it's actually a decent deal.
Yeah, only 8 at bats, and then Oakland can hit a home run late and cut it from 6-4 to 6-5 or whatever. It's hard for me, but I understand it. I mean, I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm on them on the money line. I mean, on the run line today, but it's at plus price. But it's a plus price though. So, but yeah, I don't think we need to break it down anymore.
I just find it a bit weird that it's like minus 260 for the full game, and usually if you had to take the run line for that, it would be around like minus 140, give or take. Like I feel like 120 is actually a decent deal for this money line price.
Yeah, that was a number that came in my mind. Yeah, I think that number is definitely going to climb. Again, if the Mariners on Tuesday night, I think if they do get the victory again against the Oakland A's, I think that number is just going to climb. But again, I mean, that's just a train that I don't want to get in front of right now is the Seattle Mariners. All right, guys, next game on the board here. Let's go over to Detroit. 6:40 Eastern start between the New York Yankees and the Detroit Tigers. Gerrit Cole is on the mound here for the New York Yankees, and Matt Manning is on the mound here for the Detroit Tigers. The New York Yankees are a minus 162 road favorite here, plus 36 on the money line for the New York Yankees. Total is set at 8. Gerrit Cole. Well, let me start with this. I've backed Gerrit Cole this season, and I'll just mention this on my handicap here for this game. But he's been a guy that I want to back at home. He's been outstanding at Yankee Stadium. I think he's like 12-2 or 13-1 in those games. I'll have to double check on that. But I know this team hasn't. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the Yankees on the pod this season. They're just not doing very well. But I'm not sure how much I can trust Matt Manning here. Going up against the Yankees, even though how bad the Yankees offense has been. On the season, he has been respectable, 3.93 ERA. He's been pretty good over his last 5 starts here as well. Did have a solid outing against the Houston Astros in his last game, 6 1/3. He only had 1 hit to the Astros. 4-1 victory there for the Tigers. I think that was the game that they walked off in the bottom of the 9th against the Astros with Framber Valdez on the mound. But the Tigers have won 3 straight start with Matt Manning on the mound here. I'll lean towards the under in this game. I think Gerrit Cole, I mean, he's in that conversation, or not in the conversation, but he's the odds-on favorite right now to win the AL Cy Young. But he's pitched really well this season. He's been good on the road as well, 4-2 with a 2.48 ERA. Did get roughed up by the Red Sox 2 starts ago, but bounced back very nicely against the Tampa Bay Rays in his last start, 7 2/3 innings. Only allowed 3 hits, 1 earned run, 11 strikeouts against the Tampa Bay Rays. So I'm going to go with the under 8 in this game. I think both pitchers can go along well here. If you want to take the first 5 under as well, I don't hate that either here, Scott. But what are you thinking about your team against the Tigers with Gerrit Cole on the mound?
Yeah, I'm looking at the first 5 under. You said it in passing, but that's my favorite play. Cole, we know, has been good this season. He's going to win the Cy Young most likely, but he's been good against Detroit in the past. Small sample size, but 57 career plate appearances, a 148 batting average, and a 193 on base percentage. So Cole has been nails against this team. And Manning, you mentioned before, has been good, but even with the Yankees winning yesterday, with Severino pitching a gem, they still couldn't score. They only scored 4 runs. So I think that once again, you're looking at what should be a lower scoring game. I think the Yankees might win it, but this could be a 3-2 type game, 3-1. Could be really just a rock fight. I'm going to lean to the under. This number feels a bit low. This number feels a bit high, but the bullpens have been an issue for both teams recently. Clay Holmes has not been good either. So I do acknowledge the Yankees' back end of the bullpen has not been great. I'll go with the first 5 under. I could really see like a 2-1 game, maybe even like a 1-0 game through 5. I'm going to lean to the first 5 under.
Lonte, what do you got?
Yeah, I think both of you guys hit it on the head. I wanted to take Detroit's team total first in the first 5 to go under because, like you mentioned with Manning, I don't really trust him as much. And I mean, the Yankees, they didn't have a good game yesterday. It was pretty much just 1 inning. I think they went back to back. Judge and who was it, Scott? They went back to back with Judge. I can't remember who it was.
I'm trying to even remember, but it was early in the game. But it was mostly Severino who just carried the entire pitch.
Yeah, no. It was this was late in the game. This was maybe like the 7th inning, 8th inning. I think they went back to back because it was like 1-0 or 0-0.
I thought Judge homered early in the game.
Did he?
But let me check.
Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong, but yeah. Either way, the offenses are not going to be there. I think Cole he'll put the nail in the coffin for his Cy Young.
Okay, yes, you were right. It was Judge and Torres who went back to back in the 7th.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, like, just not a lot of offense. And I think Cole will pitch a gem, of course, put that nail in the coffin for the Cy Young. And I'm looking at Detroit's team total to go under, because if Manning loses a little bit of control, Judge can take him deep. The lineup at the top will probably pretty much expose him. So I do like the first 5 under, but I like the Detroit team total to go under in the first 5 even more.
All right, let's get over to the next game on the board. 6:40 Eastern start. The Tampa Bay Rays, they are in South Beach to take on the Miami Marlins. Zach Eflin gets to start here for the Tampa Bay Rays, and Jesus Luzardo gets to start here for the for the Miami Marlins. Looking at the lines for this game, the Rays are a -115 road favorite here, -105 on the money line for the Miami Marlins. Total set at 7 with juice towards the under at -115. Run line -1.5 +154 for the Tampa Bay Rays, and +1.5 -185 for the Miami Marlins. I'll start here with Zach Eflin. Eflin, we've talked a lot about him being a pitcher that we want to back at Tropicana Field in Tampa because he's been so good at home. On the road this season, it's a different story. 3-4 with a 4.37 ERA and 10 starts. Last 5 games, he's 2-2 with a 3.21 ERA in 5 starts. He's allowed 10 earned runs in 28 innings pitched. Did have a start earlier this season against this Miami Marlins team, and he got lit up in that game. In 4 innings, he allowed 5 earned runs off of 7 hits to the Miami Marlins. And he did take a loss in his last game, which was against the Yankees, which I believe that was a game we just talked about with Gerrit Cole on the mound for the Yankees. But he did have a good outing in that game, though. 6 innings, 7 hits. He only allowed 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts in that game for Zach Eflin. On the other side, is Jesus Luzardo. He started off the season real well for this Miami Marlins pitching staff. He is 9-8 with a 3.77 ERA, but he's gotten into trouble over his last 5 games where he's 1-3 with a 6.65 ERA. He's coming off a great outing against the San Diego Padres, where he allowed 2 hits, 6 innings of shutout baseball, 7 strikeouts in that game. But prior to that, he had taken 3 straight losses to the Rangers, the Yankees, and the Astros, all of which are really good teams against left-handed pitching. And that's the same story here for the Tampa Bay Rays. Over the last 2 weeks, the Tampa Bay Rays are number 7 in WRC plus against left-handed pitching, number 4 in team batting average. They are number 15 in slugging percentage, and number 9 in OPS against left-handed pitching. I feel like this number is a little conservative here on 7. I kind of like the over on that 7. I think that the Rays are going to be able to get to Jesus Luzardo. I don't trust Zach Eflin on the road here. As far as the side, I'll go with the Rays here, but my more favorite play is going to be over 7 in this game here, Lonte.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought it was too low. I bet it today also. I thought it was too low. And I mean, Luzardo, he's been getting blasted outside of that game that you just mentioned. I mean, 4+ runs allowed in 4 straight, allowed multi-home runs in 3 of his last 4 starts. I mean, Tampa, like I said earlier, they've been, in a previous episode, man, they've been really, really good despite all the distractions and everything that's going on with them. So Eflin, I mean, I'm not as down on him as I think you are. I think he's fine. He's not far away from home, so maybe he could take some of that magic and pitch a gem here. 2 runs or less allowed in 4 of his last 5 starts. So I like Tampa here. I think the price is short. I think the total is extremely short. I think Tampa's team total would probably get over this number by itself, especially with how Luzardo has been going. So I like Tampa team total over. I like the full game over. And I might sprinkle on a run line.
Yeah, that Rays team total will probably come out at 3.5 with it on the close to even on the money line here. So I do like that Rays team total, like you mentioned there, Lonte. Scott, what do you got?
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here. I'm going to lean to the over because I think this number is too low, but I am going to go with the Rays. Luzardo was good his last outing, but I can't tell if that's because he figured something out or because the Padres, once again, are just really, really bad at baseball. So I'm going to go with the Rays. Savali's been in good form, but it's mostly just backing the much better offense against a team that really can't hit at a cheap price. I'll take the Rays money line.
It seems like the Angels have officially waved the white flag here because they just put, I think, like 5 different players on waivers here. Lucas Giolito, Matt Moore, Ronaldo Lopez, Hunter Renfroe, and Randall Grichuk all on waivers.
They put Giolito on waivers? They traded for him like a month and a half ago. I know he's been terrible, but all right, that's really admitting that you got fleeced.
Right.
Okay,
so
sure.
so what's
all
up?
right.
So what's up with Shohei? Like, has the news came out? Like, is he going to have another Tommy John, or what's going on with that? Have you heard anything?
No, he's just going to keep batting. He keeps putting up good numbers.
He's just going to keep trying to get home runs, but I think eventually in the offseason, I think that might be something that's unavoidable for Shohei.
Whoa, it hasn't. Can you read off those names again? It was Giolito, Grichuk, Ronaldo Lopez, and
Hunter Renfroe. And Matt Moore.
So Renfroe was the only one in that list that they did not trade for at the trade deadline. So they admitted that 3 of their acquisitions were terrible.
Yeah. Yep,
okay.
Pretty much.
Just making sure.
Yeah. All right. Next game on the board here. Let's go over to another 6:40 Eastern start. The Texas Rangers and the New York Mets. Dan Dunning is on the mound here for the Rangers, and Kodai Senga is on the mound here for the New York Mets. Looking at the lines for this game, I'm currently seeing the Mets are a -118 home favorite, -102 on the money line for the Texas Rangers. Total set at 8.5 with juice towards the under at -118. Run line -1.5 +160 for the Mets, and +1.5 -192 here for the New York Mets. I'll leave this one off here. Kodai Senga has been a guy that I want to trust when he's pitching at Citi Field for the Mets. You just take a look at his home and road splits this season. At home, 5-3 with a 2.64 ERA in 13 starts at home. You compare that to his road starts. It does have a 5-4 record, but the ERA is about 1.2 higher at 3.82. Over his last 5 games, 3-2 with a 3.16 ERA. 11 earned runs in 31 1/3 innings pitched. His last start was against the Angels. He went 6 2/3, allowed 2 earned runs, 3 walks in that game, 10 strikeouts he did have in that game for the New York Mets. The Mets have actually won 3 of his last 4 starts, but like I mentioned, he did take a loss in his last start against the Angels, where no run support was given to Kodai Senga. They only scored 1 run in that game, did the New York Mets. For the Rangers, it is going to be Dane Dunning, who's been pretty solid this season for this team. 9-6 with a 3.36 ERA. He's 1-2 in it with a 3.64 ERA over his last 5 starts. The Rangers have lost 3 straight starts when Dane Dunning is on the mound. His last outing, he did get roughed up by the Minnesota Twins. He allowed 4 earned runs off of 5 hits, 6 walks he allowed in that game to the Minnesota Twins. And they did go on to lose that game 12-2, did the Texas Rangers. Like we talked about earlier, like Scott mentioned, 3 teams are battling it out for that AL West division crown, at least. And I think that every game matters for the Texas Rangers. But they've been struggling, at least over the past 2 weeks here. I'm going to roll the dice here, man. Senga has been good to me, especially when he's pitching at home. I'll go with the Mets here. I don't like the form that the Dane Dunning is in right now. I think that Senga will go along well here. Maybe look at a strikeout prop here. But I'm going to go with the Mets on the money line here, Lonte. What are you thinking about this game between the Mets and the Rangers?
Yeah, I was hoping that we got Senga as a little bit shorter of a price, maybe as a dog, like as a slight dog. But I like him too. I like him on the money line as well. I'll probably split up a bit and go first 5, half first 5 and half full game. I don't like the way Dunning has pitched. He's been all right at times, but not trustworthy enough to where, I can back him here. Senga also only allowed 1 home run in his last 7 starts, so he's not giving up the long ball, and we know that's the issue with this, when you're facing this Texas team, because they're so good. Well, they have been so good this season. But I'm not really trusting Texas right now. It's hard to trust the Mets, I know. I'll split a unit first 5 and full game. Just pretty much a bet on Senga. It's not really a bet on the Mets.
Scott, what do you got?
So I'm going to lean to the first 5 under here. I just like both pitchers. I don't trust the Mets offense, and the Rangers offense hasn't been as good lately. But I do think when you're looking at this overall pitching matchup, it's two pretty good options. Dunning's had a very good year in general. I know he might have been roughed up once or twice recently, but the Mets we know are an underwhelming offense. I like the first 5 under. Should be at like 4.5 with a full game total of 8.5. Seems a bit high to me. I see like a 2-1 type score after 5. Once again, both bullpens not great, so I'm going to stay away from that angle. I'm just going to go with the first 5 under.
All right. Next game on the board, we have, let's go over to the city of Kansas City. The Pittsburgh Pirates and the Royals battle it out, 8:10 Eastern start. Mitch Keller on the mound here for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Brady Singer is on the mound here for the Royals. Currently seeing, I do not have lines for this game. Do either one of you see lines for this game?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay. I mean, I can just kind of go through the pitchers here and give our general thoughts here, but I'll start here with Mitch Keller. I mean, we've talked about how bad he's been since the All-Star break for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think he had a solid start in his last game, if I'm not mistaken.
He's been good in his last 3, but for the most part, he's not been good since the All-Star break.
Yeah, I think his best start since the All-Star break, which came against the Cubs, 8 shutout innings, 4 hits he allowed in that game, 6 strikeouts. And prior to that, he had a good outing against the Cincinnati Reds and also against the Minnesota Twins. And the Pirates have actually won 3 straight starts with Mitch Keller on the mound. Brady Singer on the other side for the Kansas City Royals on the season has an ERA above 5 at 5.15. He does have an 8-10 record. Has been he's been all right over his last 5 starts, 2-2 with a 3.94 ERA.
Well, just to be clear, I don't think Singer is going to pitch in this game because I see reports that he's having some arm fatigue. He's expected to skip his next time through the rotation. So
okay, well then let's just scrap everything I just said.
I'm gonna say I'm assuming Singer's not going to pitch.
Yeah, I mean, if he's dealing with arm fatigue, then he's probably not going to pitch here. But I mean, I guess I don't have much then without a pitcher for the Royals. I just mentioned, like we mentioned, that Mitch Keller's in good form here. Either of you have anything? Lonte, you have anything for this game?
No, I would just lean over. Pittsburgh team total to go over. That's about it. That's probably about it.
All right. Scott, anything?
Yeah, I would lean Pittsburgh if Singer pitches, but I'm assuming he's not going to. So, yeah, I got nothing. I guess I'm still leaning to Pittsburgh, but it's mostly just because Keller's in good form.
All right. 2 games left here, and this is another game that we don't have a pitcher for, at least for the Atlanta Braves. 8:40 Eastern start in the Mile High City. Kyle Freeland is going to start here for the Rockies. Again, no pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, I can talk you through Kyle Freeland here, but I'm not sure if it matters who's going to pitch for the Atlanta Braves, just because, number one, they are in Coors Field. Last night, they put up, 14, 15 runs in that game against the Rockies. Kyle Freeland just hasn't been very good. I think there's no secret around that. I think that's an understatement. Over his last 5 starts, 1-2 with a 5.79 ERA. He's allowed 18 earned runs in 28 innings pitched. He did face the Braves earlier this season, I believe, in Atlanta. He allowed 7 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings pitched off of 9 hits. He's allowed at least 3 earned runs in 5 straight starts. Sorry, 4 earned runs in 3 of his last 5 starts, and 3 earned runs at least in 5 straight starts. The Rockies have alternated between win-loss here, but his last 5 games, we've seen a minimum of 9 runs, and the other 4 games, 12 runs, 10 runs, 11 runs, and 16 runs. So I think that this team total is probably going to be at 7.5 again for the Braves. I'm not afraid of that number. I think they get a double digits here against Freeland, but I think it's probably going to be Braves or nothing here for me, or probably just Braves team total. Anything different here for you, Lonte?
Nothing at all. Munaf, you hopped in the chat yesterday, man. I hope you took advantage of betting that Ronald Acuna to win MVP at plus money. That'll be gone after he destroys the Colorado Rockies in this series. I think he's back like 140-ish right now. Yeah. Probably still bettable. I mean, that's the only thing I could take from this series. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel here with anything. Everything you just said, I agree with. But yeah, if you shop around, if you see Acuna anything under 150, I bet that he had a huge game last night. What did he have? Like 2 or 3 hits, if I'm not
He had
mistaken.
a home run, a double, and 2 stolen bases, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so just that's ridiculous.
And attacked by 2 fans.
Yeah, I
I
saw
don't know if you
that.
guys saw
They
that.
just wanted a picture and a hug, so you know.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, man, that's my only takeaway. Just make sure you find Acuna. I mean, at plus money yesterday, that was ridiculous. That was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Scott, do you have anything?
No, I said going into the series yesterday, the Braves are probably going to score 9+ runs in every game.
Yeah.
We're 1 game through, so I'm just going to keep it rolling. I think the Braves bury Freeland and this pitching staff. I still have no idea why Mookie was the MVP favorite in general. For a day, I'm not sure if he's even the most worthy candidate on his own team. I would maybe consider voting for Freddie Freeman, but that's a separate story. Point is, I'd vote for Acuna anyway. But Acuna had 60 stolen bases. He's 1 home run away from 30 and 60. So I'm rooting for him. But I think, once again, Acuna should be the MVP. I don't think it's very close, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I don't think so either. All right, guys, last game on the board, that is going to be the Arizona Diamondbacks and the LA Dodgers, 10-10 Eastern start. Brandon Pfaadt gets a start here for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Lance Lynn is on the mound here for the Dodgers. Dodgers are a -155 home favorite here, +130 on the money line for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Total is set at 9.5 in this game. Who has the last game here? Lonte, you want to finish this off?
Yeah. So who's going for the Dodgers pitching wise?
Lynn, apparently.
I see Lance
okay,
Lynn right now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So yeah, I just want to make sure because I've seen somewhere else where it had somebody else. But either way, I mentioned at the top that when we were talking about the White Sox, that Lynn, I mean, that Cease should have probably got traded and he would have ended up like Lynn. He's been pretty good since joining the Dodgers. In 5 starts, allowed over 300 runs. He hasn't allowed over 3 earned runs, I'm sorry, and has 2 scoreless games mixed in with those. Pretty sure that has a lot to do with him knowing that the Dodgers offense is pretty much can bail him out of any situation. So it's giving him a little bit more confidence. And I think we all know that confidence is the main thing in all sports. And I think he's got it back. I mean, it's limited contact outside of his last start. Boston hit him pretty well. They didn't score a lot, but they had 10 hits on him. He's pitched 6+ innings in 4 of his last 5 games. So, I mean, I think you just got it. I think it's short here for the Dodgers. I'd lay it on the run line and the money line as well. I think the team total to go over is a good look also.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. It's a pretty nice plus price for the Dodgers run line here. But I think when you're looking at how these teams match up, the Dodgers are obviously the better team. They're in better form. 44-21 at home. They're 81-49 this season. We know how good they've been for about 2 months. I'm just not a fan of Pfaadt. I don't think he's a very good pitcher. He's 1-6 with a 5.91 ERA. The Dodgers did decently against him a month ago, and I think, once again, Pfaadt should struggle. Been better lately, but I do think, once again, the Dodgers are just a really, really difficult team to pitch against, especially when you're just not a very good pitcher in general. I'll take the Dodgers run line at plus money. They've been rolling. That's a good enough price for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue it. Brandon Pfaadt's been a guy that I've been fading all season, and as far as opposing teams' team totals, cashed. I mean, he had a pretty good outing against the Reds, but then that bullpen came in for the Diamondbacks as usual and messed it up for him. But luckily for them, they did get the victory in that game, 10-8. But did face the Dodgers earlier this season, 4 2/3 innings pitch. He allowed 4 earned runs in that game off of 6 hits to the Dodgers. So I think Dodgers team total is probably the way that I'm going to attack it, whether it's first 5 innings or full game over against Brandon Pfaadt and the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right, that is going to do it for the Wednesday card. 15 games on the schedule, a lot of afternoon action to get us through the day. One order of business left here. That is going to be our lock and dog for the Wednesday schedule. Lonte, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, absolutely, I can. So I'll go. I had this yesterday. I got plus money for both lock and dog. For my lock, I'm going to go with something that I haven't been with or heard a lot of people go with as their lock. I'm locking up -1.5, +130 on the Phillies on the run line to get it done versus the Angels. I mean, they're waving a white flag as you mentioned earlier with those players. Not sure they mattered much anyway, but that's just a sign right there. Detmer's on the mound. I think they mash him. Phillies offense has been locked in, especially at home. So I think they bury the Angels here at home. For my dog, I'm going to go with another plus price. I'm going to go with San Francisco +113 on the run line. Pretty much a fade of Hunter Green. Not really a fan. I mean, Scott broke it down earlier. So give me 2 run lines as a favorite as my lock and my dog.
And what price did you say you found the Giants?
The Giants, 130. I'm sorry, I got 113. I can't read.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
I saw
130.
130.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
130.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Scott, what do you got?
All right, so for my lock, I'm just going to stick with what's worked for the entire month. Give me the Mariners run line against the Athletics at -120. I think it's actually a bargain because, once again, with them being roughly -260, you're assuming it'd be -140 on the run line. There's no way 120 is going to be there by the start of this game, so I'll take it now before it moves. So give me the Mariners run line as my lock. For my dog, I'm actually going to take Lonte's lock. I'm going to go with the Phillies run line here against the Angels. There's really nothing to like about the Angels, and now they got rid of a decent amount of players that they acquired, so they admitted that their all-in push was an all-time failure. But I think looking at the Phillies, they're in great form. We saw the power once again yesterday. We know that Harper has started to hit more home runs. Turner's been good lately. Schwarber has turned into Adam Dunn, but it's been working for him, so he's going to keep it either hitting home runs or striking out or walking, any of those 3 true outcomes. But I'm going to go with Philly here on the run line. It's a very good price, currently at around like +136. I think it's a great deal. I see that line dropping, but it's a matter of one team playing for something and one team's not playing for something. I see 130 actually as the updated line, so I'll take that. +130 fade in the Angels, though. It's a good deal for me. I'm going to take it.
All right. For my lock, I will take the over 7.5 now on the Marlins and the Rays game. I know we talked about it when it was 7, but I guess money just came in on the over in that game, but I still think that number is too conservative at 7.5 between Zach Eflin and Jesus Luzardo. Rays, like I mentioned, over the last 2 weeks, I've been doing really well against the against left-handed pitching in general. I think the Marlins could get a couple off of the Rays here as well. I do like the Rays team total, whether that's going to be at 3.5 or at 4. I think that gets over the number as well, but 7.5 still seems a little too conservative here for the Rays and the Marlins for the total. So over 7.5 for me. For my dog, let's keep fading the White Sox, man. Give me the Baltimore Orioles run line -1.5 +125 on the run line there. Dylan Cease, we talked about, hasn't been in great form at all this season, as he's just given up a lot of walks. He's given up a lot of runs over his last 5 starts. Baltimore Orioles are still batting it out for the AL East and trying to stay at the top there. And they still have something to play for, while the White Sox, with all the front office moves and all that, this team probably just has checked out now. But I think the Baltimore Orioles, we saw it on Monday night, got the 9-0 victory there. Even if Dylan Cease has a good game, but this bullpen has just been atrocious, not only all season, but also over the last 2 weeks for the Chicago White Sox. So at a plus price of +125 on the run line, I will take the Baltimore Orioles as my dog pick of the day. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast. We will be back tomorrow, as usual, in some form or fashion to break down the Thursday card. If you haven't already left us a rating and review for the MLB Gambling Podcast, please do so. It really helps us grow the show. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel for the MLB Gambling Podcast, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching us live, please go ahead and hit that like button for us as well. Lonte, anything else we want to mention before we get out of here?
No, that's it, man. That's it.
Scott, anything else?
No, not really. Looking forward to the games tonight.
Yep. Shout out to everybody in the chat, the usual suspects, Randy, Matthew, TVDBJ, Captain Insano, as usual. Thank you guys. You guys always make the show go by, and it's a lot of fun interacting with you guys. So appreciate everybody in the chat there as well. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.